All right. So we are definitely live right now. Yeah, I have no idea what happened. It was a great place, I guess. If the broadcast had to be cut, I guess that was the perfect place to cut it, right? So now we're going to get into the details of what the cosmic forecast is going to look like for the month of July, all right? So the first half of this live will also be on the channel, and I'll designate it as part 1 and part 2, so you guys can definitely, not miss it if you're catching this on the replay. If you haven't seen the first part, you're definitely going to want to see the first part cuz I was preaching, honey. So that will be on the channel as well. But now let's get into the details and see exactly what July is looking like. So we start off the month with Mercury moving into the sign of Leo. Now, you know how I said before that, it's kind of hard to be doing this work in summer because there's lots of distractions, there's being outside and all of that stuff. Well, Mercury in Leo really contributes to that because Mercury in Leo is very lighthearted energy. This is also a saving grace for us at this point because, like I said, that Saturn retrograde energy is very heavy. It's very dense, can be very sobering, even depressing. And Mercury in Leo, it kind of lightens the mood a little bit. It kind of lightens your thoughts. And it really gets you to reconcile your head and your heart. Mercury is the planet of ideas and communication. It's very brainy, it's very logical. Leo is heart centered. So when we've got Mercury in Leo, it's like your head and your heart are on the same page. And it allows for a little bit of levity. It allows for a focus on what you truly love and what your heart truly desires. All right. It's a great sort of transit to really drop into your heart space and to really understand what you want. I said before, a lot of people are not even sure where their destination is, but understand that you will know where your destination is because it's what makes your heart sing. It's what you truly desire. And understanding that not only from an emotional standpoint, because at this point the sun is still in Cancer, but understanding it from a logical standpoint, because now Mercury is in the sign of Leo, you're going to understand where your destination is. What's not in alignment with your heart's truest desire, you're not likely going to want to follow. You're not going to want to think about, right? That can help clue you into where your destination actually is. All right. It's also this energy of having fun. It's this energy of, like I said, light-hearted energy, this energy of, play, childlike energy. But understand that this Mercury and Leo energy is happening at the same time as Saturn retrograde. So even if you're feeling childlike, right, understand that the adult that you are supposed to be following is you. So this kind of transit, it's interesting because I didn't realize that I'd be going this deep into this sort of information. But Mercury in Leo at the same time as Saturn retrograde in Pisces, it's almost like reparenting yourself. Think about that. Mercury in Leo is really going to have you thinking about that, right? Not only where does your authority lie, but who's in charge, right? You're in charge. And you can allow your heart to lead the way. And Mercury in Leo is going to help you do just that. All right. That's what we've got first up. Then the same day on July 2nd, we've got Neptune going retrograde in Pisces. And this is all about what I was talking about before, right? Neptune retrograde really has us examining our beliefs and our faith. These are very amorphous kind of I don't even know if I'm using the right word, but these are very nebulous kind of concepts, faith, belief, because not even often, it always involves what we cannot see. And, Saturn currently in Pisces wants you to see things. Saturn gives form to things. So Saturn is very much concerned with what we can see, what we can feel, what we can touch, what's tangible. Everything about Neptune is nebulous. It's intangible. And that's a lot of times where our beliefs come from, right? Our beliefs aren't necessarily tangible. But Neptune retrograde in Pisces is like, what do you believe in? Who do you believe in? If your beliefs shape your reality and you don't like how your reality is currently looking, then what needs to change? Your beliefs. Maybe who you believe in, maybe what you believe in, maybe what you believe about yourself, or even what you believe about the world. This is what Neptune retrograde is going to task you with. And it's a slow burn. Neptune retrograde is for several months. Saturn retrograde is for several months. This isn't work that you have to do in one day. You couldn't possibly do it in one day. Even if you're in your early 20s, right? You've still been indoctrinated with certain things. It's almost like, when you gain weight, you didn't gain it in one day. So you're not going to lose it in one day either. It's a process. And we're beginning this process this month in July, right? So who do you believe in? What are your beliefs? Neptune retrograde is going to have you examining all of that, all right? Then next up, we've got the new moon of the month, which is going down in the sign of Cancer, and this is going down on July 5th. Now, Cancer is all about nurturing, right? When we think about the manifestation process, the new moon is when we plant those seeds. Cancer is all about emotions. Cancer is very much a water sign. It is our emotions that help water the seeds that we want to see grow. So, where are you directing your emotions? Think of something that you want to manifest at this time, something that you are willing to nurture, right? The sun is currently in Cancer. The full moon of this month is going to be in Capricorn again. These two signs are opposite. But the one thing that both Cancer and Capricorn have in common is commitment. Whenever you think about Cancer, C. Whenever you think about Capricorn, C. I want you to think of commitment, C. Cancer is committed to what it wants to nurture and develop, right? Think of a baby growing inside of a woman, right? When you commit to having a child, it's 9 months of development on the inside, right? You commit to that. You nurture that literal seed within you. Capricorn is also about commitment, but it's external commitment. What are you committing to? What are you committing to work toward? That's another theme that's playing out in July. What are you committing to? What are you willing to nurture? And at the new moon in Cancer, that's what you're going to figure out. Cancer knows that it's got to water the seeds. You know that phrase? People think that the grass is green on the other side, but the grass is actually greener where you water it. That has everything to do with Cancer energy. So what are you going to water with your emotions? And emotions play a big part in the manifestation process because what you give life to via your emotions is ultimately what's going to show up in your reality. So you want to make sure that you're watering your manifestations at this new moon in Cancer with clean water, meaning with good emotions. Because guess what? You can water something with hate. You can water something with disdain. You can water something with fear even. But guess what's going to sprout up in the future? Fear, hatred, apathy in some cases. So make sure that what you're committing to nurturing at this new moon in Cancer, you are watering with good emotions. All right, that is the new moon of the month. Thereafter, we have Venus joining Mercury in the sign of Leo, and this is going down on July 11th. So Venus in Leo is all about romance. It's all about love. Not necessarily in a superficial way, though. However, there is this focus on relationships because Leo is very heart-centered. Now, it's not just romantic relationships, although those may come into focus when Venus moves into Leo. I mean, you're going to want to see where Leo is in your chart. For instance, I'm a Taurus rising. Leo is my 4th house. So this isn't romantic relationships. It's relationships with family. All right. So look at where Leo is in your chart. These are the relationships that are going to come into focus during this transit. Now, it involves not necessarily romance, but love because Leo is heart-centered energy. So are you giving love? Are you receiving love, right? Venus is all about equanimity. Venus is all about balance. So maybe you're noticing during this transit that maybe you're giving more than you're receiving or vice versa. Venus is going to want to balance that out while she is in the sign of Leo. And Venus likes to feel love, affection. Leo necessarily isn't affection, but it definitely is love. It's definitely what makes your heart sing, what makes your heart flutter, right? Follow that. Also inherent in the energy signature of Leo is the energy of children, of childlike energy. Venus in Leo is great for inner child work, which I believe that we all need to do at some point in time. Because unfortunately, a lot of the conditioning that we've been fed is that um is that I lost my train of thought for a second. But hello, thank you. Oh, we say hello, all yay for love and balance. Yes. Venus kind of thrives in Leo, right? Because she loves to feel good. She loves to feel love. Um, we've been conditioned to sort of leave childish things behind. And of course, there are things that we do need to leave behind when we are maturing. Our inner child is not one of them. Our inner child is really the purest essence of who we are before society jaded us, before society fucked with us, right? And Venus in Leo gets you to get reacquainted with your inner child. Who are they? You know, it's interesting. I started doing inner child work intentionally, I want to say over the last 2 years. And my inner child, I was so far away from my inner child, it was ridiculous. That when I re-encountered my inner child, I was like, that's not me. Meanwhile, my inner child was like, yes, this is very much you before the world got to you. So Venus in Leo is great for that. And when you nurture your inner child, it really nurtures your external relationships. A lot of times our inner child is just begging for attention. They are just like, please acknowledge me. Please, this is something you used to love. This is who you used to be. Integrating that inner child into your being right now is super important. And Venus in Leo allows us to do just that. All right. So we're nurturing relationships, right? We're making them equal and reciprocal. And we're allowing our inner child to step forward with Venus in Leo. So it's a very important transit. Thereafter, we've got Mars in Gemini, and this is going down on July 20th. This is like putting a battery in your back. Actually, it's not putting a battery in your back, it's putting a battery in your brain because Mars is going to energize the hell out of your mental activities. So I want you to also take a look at where Gemini is in your chart. This area has been activated quite heavily over the last 2 months because we had Gemini season. We had a stellium of planets in Gemini, but most importantly, Jupiter moved into Gemini in late May. And this is expanding our minds, right? It's moving us past our mental comfort zones. And so we have Jupiter expanding things. And then we have Mars energizing things, energizing our minds. So this is a very mental and cerebral kind of transit where your mind is going to be firing on all cylinders. Now, this is great because you can really learn a lot. On the downside, this can also be very distracting. I want you to heal with growing up spiritually. That is sort of taking precedence right now. However, once Mars moves into Gemini, it's like your mind is going to be running a mile a minute. And that inner work may get a little more difficult to do because you're thinking these things, your mind is all over the place, you're traveling here, you're going there, you're doing all the things, doing the most mentally, which could be a very big distraction from the work that you have to do emotionally and the inner work that needs to be done right now. So balance is going to have to happen in order to facilitate this inner work that is so important at this time. However, Gemini is great for expanding your mind, learning new things. Now, the beautiful thing about this is that everything works together. So I said before, Saturn and Neptune are both going retrograde in Pisces. The ruler of Pisces, actually Pisces has two rulers, Neptune, which we already discussed, and Jupiter. So that belief system that you are recalibrating, right? That inner GPS system that you are finding and activating, Jupiter in Gemini is helping you do that. It's helping you understand the details. and understand these details logically of this new belief system that you are adopting. So while much can be learned, make sure that you pay attention and give precedence to the things that are turning on your inner GPS system. Actually, with Mars and Gemini, you're going to feel motivated to do this kind of logical work while at the same time doing the inner spiritual work. So again, it's going to add a battery to your back, but it's all serving the same purpose. All right. So keep that in mind. All right. Then next, we've got the full moon of the month, which is going down in Capricorn. This is part 2, not only of this live, but of this full moon in Capricorn energy, because just in June, we had the full moon in Capricorn. So I want you to take some time to think about what transpired around that new moon. More importantly, what were you shown at that time? You were shown the reality of something. I can almost guarantee it. What can you learn from that observation? And that learning is going to continue at this full moon in Capricorn in July. What have you learned? What did the universe show you? I know it may be hard to come to terms with what you were shown or what you learned, right? It could be sobering. It could be even a little depressing. But now it helps you calibrate or recalibrate where you are headed, right? Again, we're activating our inner GPS systems at this time. So this full moon in Capricorn is going to show you again. It's round 2. It's going to show you again. It's putting an emphasis on what you need to see. Maybe something that you believed in, a belief that you had, you're seeing or you began to see at the full moon in Capricorn in June, how that belief really doesn't serve you. How it's almost like a false belief at this time. I know that hurts. I know that understanding and coming to terms with the fact that what you've relied on doesn't work for you anymore is hard. It's hard. If I'm being completely transparent, the reason why I had to postpone this live, and nothing happens by accident. I had to post this live. I usually do my monthly astro forecast on the last Wednesday of every month. If I tell you I spent all Wednesday in bed crying, that's exactly what I was doing. And I needed it. It's like it was like a personal baptism. Pisces is a water sign. And Saturn retrograde, Neptune retrograde in Pisces, it may have you shedding more than just a few tears. But understand that those tears you're releasing and you're being born new in new waters. Many of us were baptized in different faiths, right? At this point in time, a lot of us are baptizing ourselves. I want that to really sink in for you. Many of us are baptizing ourselves right now. And that's tough. That's tough. So if you need to retreat, if you need to cry, if you need to do whatever, do it. It's your personal baptism. And this full moon in Capricorn is continuing that story. Cicada says, yes, sometimes days in bed crying are just what we need. They are. Crying can feel so good. And it's only recently that I've come to understand that. Because I'm the type of person, one of the things that I'm working on is allowing people to see me cry. I'm very much a reclusive crier. I will cry in bed in the dark by myself. I will cry in the shower, but I will not cry in front of you. Right? And crying is so cathartic. It's such a wonderful release. And we need that sometimes. These transits are not easy. They're not. Especially now that you're aware of them. Many of these transits we have experienced throughout our lifetime, but we just weren't aware of it. We thought that everything else around us was fucking us up or fucking with us or taking this from us or whatever. Like everything about our personalities were directed externally. And the universe is like, all of that is done. Now it's time to move internally and create your own autonomy. That's not easy when you've been following everyone else, when you've been allowing people to lead you to a destination that may not even be the right destination for you. You're learning how to figure out what your destination is and how to get there all on your own. And you need to give yourself the time, the space to do that. Ultra Instinct says, as a man, I could admit I cry, but I'll never let you see it. Right. We all cry. We do. And it's okay if you do. I don't care if you're a man or a woman, dog even. I have a dog. She cries sometimes too. We all need that. Right. So there was another point I was going to say about Pisces energy and how, oh man, I almost lost my train of thought. I was about to say something really important in terms of Pisces. Well, I will say this. We as a society are moving to a place where we're learning not to rely on big institutions, whether it's big business, whether it's big educational institutions, whether it's government, whether it's religion. All of these things, our perception of these things and our interaction with these things are changing at this time. So it's like we're all building our own institutions, our own inner institutions. And that takes work. That takes work. And you have to give yourself the space to do this. This is what I was going to say. Everything about Pisces is very big on escapism. That's why it rules addictive activities like drugs, like alcohol. Anything that you can use to escape reality is ruled by Pisces. And that's why it's so easy to not do this work, because we've got so many distractions. When shit gets hard, Pisces swims away. And that's what a lot of people are doing right now. It's so interesting. I've been seeing these articles lately about how so many people are not like going to nightclubs anymore, how nightclub attendance is like dwindling, right? And I've been seeing it from an entrepreneurial perspective, how nightclub owners are trying to make up for lost revenue and stuff like that. But when I saw that, I was like, wow. I remember when going to the club was what you would do all the damn time. I was one of those people who was at the club every weekend, sometimes on the weekdays too. I'm not afraid or ashamed to admit that, right? And how that's how you met people. And now when I think about it, I'm just like, there's nothing inherently wrong with going to the club, right? But some of the things that people are doing, I'm just like, whoa, this is some next level shit, right? And how people are recognizing that sort of escapism is not helping them. You can escape all you want, but there's going to be a time where you will not be able to escape. And if you are not equipped to handle this new earth, this new energy, you're going to be lost. You're going to be so lost. And I'm not saying this to make anyone afraid or whatever. There are going to be a lot of people who are going to check out from this reality because they're not going to be equipped to handle it. When you have no one to turn to, if you do not know how to turn to yourself, you will be lost. Do the work now to stand on your own 2 feet. Spiritually. That's what the energy of this month is for. All right? Try not to escape so much. Face your fears. Saturn is the planet and it rules this full moon in Capricorn. So for many of us at this full moon, many of our fears may come up. Fears of being independent, being autonomous, being your own authority and what that looks like. Saturn is also about responsibility. You know that as you get older, as you mature, especially as you go from like puberty and your teenage years to adulthood, specifically when you go from your teenage years to adulthood, what is something that you become aware of? You become aware of your responsibilities. As an adult, you cannot rely on your parents anymore for certain things, or your guardians, or your teachers, or whoever. You have to cultivate these things within yourself. As a child, where you were given things that you liked or that you wanted, now as an adult, you work for them and you get them yourself. This is what we're undergoing spiritually right now, where you are learning to stand on your own 2 feet and give yourself the love, the redemption, the grace that we've all been taught that we need to get outside of ourselves. You're learning, you're given the opportunity to cultivate that within yourself, that you can stand on your own 2 feet. This is what this full moon in Capricorn is continuing to show us in July. So don't miss the lessons. Don't cower in fear because what you're feeling or what you're sensing or what you're seeing is scary. I mean, as you move from a teenager to a young adult, life can be scary sometimes. When now you are in charge of paying your own phone bill, and when you don't pay it, it gets cut off, right? You learn that feeling of, oh my God, my service has been cut off. That fear, you overcome that. You pay your bill and your service gets back on, right? Remember that fear is only false evidence appearing real. A lot of times we tend to be afraid of things that aren't even going to happen. Face that fear and grow the fuck up. And I mean that in the best way possible. This isn't to chastise you, but it's time. We've all got to grow up. And this full moon in Capricorn, again, is going to help us do that. All right. Then we move into a little more lighthearted energy when the sun moves into Leo on July 22nd. It's fun time. This is that emblematic summer energy. Cancer season, it's a lot, right? It's heavy, it's emotional. Now we move into Leo season. That's extroverted energy. It's lighthearted, it's childlike, it's entertainment, it's fun. It's fun in the sun. The sun is the ruling planet of Leo. So the sun is at home. What does the sun do? It shines. It shines. It expresses itself. So have fun. Do the work during Cancer season. Cancer is very much about home. So if you find yourself at home during Cancer season, you're not a loser. You don't need to be outside all the damn time. If you outside and you're not doing your work, yeah, that's a problem. But doing that work, hunkering down during Cancer season to do the work, then come Leo season, that's when you can go to the barbecue, you can go to the cookouts, you can go to the beach, you can do all of that fun in the sun summer kind of energy. The sun will love it. You will love it. Your soul will love it. Most importantly, your inner child will love it even more. Do what your inner child would love to do during Leo season. Not just because you can, but because it helps you drop into your heart space. And that's important because as humans, especially now, we live too much in here. We're always trying to rationalize things. Sometimes things can be as simple as how a child would interpret it. And what does a child do? A child does what they feel, what's in their heart, what brings them joy, excitement. Children like to play. Leo season, especially when the sun is in Leo, is all about playtime. And by this point, by July 22nd, both Mercury and Venus will be in Leo. So it's time to not be so serious with our thoughts and really enjoy ourselves and let our inner children live. Okay? And then finally, we close out the month on July 25th with Mercury moving into Virgo. So this is like, you know how as soon as Labor Day hits, like the day after Labor Day, it's like, boom, reality hits. And that's kind of how this transit is. I know I'm a New York girly. I live in Florida now, but I'm from New York. And invariably, every Tuesday after Labor Day, it's like the weather completely shifts. It could be hot as hell on Labor Day, and then the next day it is cool. It's like the universe is like, all right, I've given you your fun. Now it's time to get back to work. And Virgo, Mercury in Virgo is Mercury's home sign. Virgo is one of Mercury's home signs. So this is all about analysis. So now that we've taken Cancer season and done the work, and then we've taken a little break with Leo season, now Mercury is going to go into Virgo. Mercury is going to be like, all right, what have we learned from this? Analyze what you've seen, analyze what you've experienced. And then we're going to take that information and move forward with it. Now, on a more mundane level, Mercury in Virgo is really about compartmentalizing things, making order out of chaos, especially mentally, analyzation, perfectionism, and paying attention to the details. Virgo is going to have you, Mercury in Virgo is going to have you taking a fine tooth comb through everything. That's sort of the concept of analysis, right? Analyze what you've just experienced, especially how you're feeling, and use that information to move forward successfully. All right. And that is the astrology for the month of July. I know I had a whole lot to say. All right. But hopefully, nothing went over your head. And if you're looking for a more detailed analysis of what July has in store for you, astrologically speaking, then become a channel member. All of the July 2024 monthly astro forecasts by sign are being posted tonight. So you'll know exactly what July has in store for you. All right. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get into some messages from Spirit and see exactly what we've got going on for the month. All right, so now let's talk messages from Spirit. Of course, I do these by sign. However, whether it's your sun sign, moon sign, Venus sign, Jupiter North Node, it doesn't matter. If it's your message, it's your message. And if it doesn't resonate, then let it go. All right, so first up, we will start with Aries. So let's see what we've got for Aries for July. All right, Aries. Oh, this is going to be hard to see. There we go. We have this card entitled Afterlife. This is the card of Uranus, and it is the card of the Fool in the Tarot. Aries, you're at the very beginning of a journey, and you are being guided to have absolute faith in how this journey is going to unfold. Maybe you know the destination, maybe you don't. Maybe you know how to get there, maybe you don't, but that doesn't matter. It's like you have to be willing to jump off the cliff and know that you will land safely. This is a very adventurous month for you. I feel like this is also going to be sort of adventurous spiritually because Uranus is in Taurus. Let me not say spiritually. This is going to be a month where this is sort of an adventure in terms of how you identify. What sort of worth, what sort of value do you place in yourself? It's like, I'm hearing fake it till you make it, but I don't necessarily think it's that. I think it's like, if you want to play the role of the king, then act like the king, even if you don't necessarily feel like the king at the moment. Hopefully that makes sense. Uranus is currently in your second house, and that is your house of money, material possessions, but also your self-worth and value. And that's being shaken up right now. And it's for good reason because you are crafting a whole new identity at this time. And you're at the very beginning of the journey. So buckle up. It's going to be a wild ride, but a ride that you will not regret taking. Okay. So next up, we've got Taurus. Let's see what we have for Taurus for July. Taurus, we have the card entitled Karma. This is the card associated with Libra, and it is akin to the Justice card in the Tarot. Now, this card, Libra is also ruled by Venus, so this is very Venusian energy. And so with Venus going into Leo this month, it's really about sort of living from your heart space and seeing that reflected back to you in your relationships. If you are being truly authentic, right? If you're being authentically yourself, if you are really tapped into your heart's truest desires, then any relationships that don't reflect that to you are not in alignment with you. Everything is about balance right now. Many of you have experienced relationships of any kind where there's been a serious imbalance. You're giving more or you're taking more, or you're merely entertaining people for superficial reasons. This month is a time when you are going to get right with who you are within and then see that rightness being reflected back to you in your relationships. And if that rightness, and by rightness, I mean you dropping into your heart space and realizing what's right for you, what's in alignment with your heart's truest desires. If relationships aren't reflecting that, then they're not the relationships for you. So allow them to fall by the wayside or just let them go outright. But balance is the key this month for you. All right. Next up, we've got Gemini. Let's see what we've got for Gemini for July. Gemini, we have the card entitled Chaos. It's a number 16. It's associated with Mars, and this is the same as the Tower card in the tarot. Gemini, that I want you to, if you can see the imagery on this card, it's like a chest, right? That's opened, and out comes these butterflies, bats, skulls, like barriers that you've set in your mind are being released at this time. So there's a lot that you can think of that you couldn't think of before. It's almost like you were very limited in your beliefs. Gemini is a sign of the twins, right? And I like to associate Gemini with homogeny. Like, I'm not even going to lie. There's this Gemini that comes to mind that was a good friend of mine for a long time. And anything that wasn't like, if people had different points of view or opinions, he immediately branded them as enemies. Like, he wasn't even willing to understand their point of view. It's just that different points of view and different opinions were not, he wasn't fucking with that, right? There's something about this point in time, and probably because Jupiter's in your sign, that you're going to realize the value of differing opinions. It's almost like this house that you've built on opinions that are the same, on ideas, beliefs, and even people in relationships that are exactly like you. That is crumbling because you're going to start to realize the value in difference, the value in differing opinions. So it's almost like these barriers that you had on your mind where you could only see what was the same. They're coming down, they're crumbling, and you're going to start to see a whole new world. This is going to be mind-blowing for you, Gemini. So don't try not to revert back to your default of, oh, this is different, it's not good. Lean into the difference and see just how valuable and how much it enriches your life at this time. Okay. She said, oh my God, I know a Gemini like that. Yeah, I know a couple of Geminis like that, where it's just like, this is my opinion. Like, for instance, I had a conversation with this person about spirituality, right? And they come from a background that's very Christian, very conservative Christian, which was like, I don't know why you're even fucking with me because I'm the complete opposite. Like, I had this shirt that it's like a picture of this woman with her third eye. And the first time I wore it in front of him, he was like, what's that? Like, whoa, like, oh my gosh, crazy. And so we had a conversation about spirituality, and he's like, listen, my beliefs are my beliefs, and he literally said, you can't convince me otherwise. And I said to him, I was like, I'm not trying to convince you. So that there are certain points of view that you have in your conservative Christianity that can help me. I'm open to understanding your point of view. Whereas he was like, I am not trying to understand you. And I was like, okay. I would like to talk to him now and see if his viewpoints have changed, because I'm sure if they haven't changed, they will, right? Gemini rising, I always try to put myself in people's shoes. Right, exactly. And with Gemini in your first house right now, it's opening your mind. It's really opening your mind to differences. Oh, they're like, my opinion is right. Exactly. Not only was he like, you can't convince me, but he was like, if you don't think the way that I do, then you're wrong. And I was like, wow, that's a very dangerous place to be. But Spirit will teach you otherwise. So yeah, that time has come where many Geminis are like, oh, wow, okay, this is different, but maybe there's good in difference. There's value in difference. And that's going to blow your mind right now. So yeah, good luck. Godspeed. All right, next up, we've got Cancer. Let's see what we've got for Cancer for July. And for my July Cancers, happy solar return. I sincerely hope that this new year of life brings you nothing but abundance, great health, wealth, joy, and continued blessings. All right, let's see what we got for you for July. We've got the card entitled Reincarnation. This is the card of the world in Tarot, and it is associated with Saturn. Saturn's going retrograde. You guys are being reborn. You're being reincarnated, not in the physical sense, but in the spiritual sense. Some of you have slowly, over the last couple of months, maybe in the last couple of years, adopted new beliefs, new structures. Everything I was talking about in this live today, I feel like you guys have actively been working on, maybe not even intentionally for some. And you are being reincarnated now. So, what this means is you're going to be experiencing the same things, right? But you're going to see them in different ways. It's like your eyes are finally opened, and the same cycles that have been playing out in your life, you're going to see them completely differently. So you can start to break those cycles. Very profound transit and very profound message for you, Cancer. It's like you're finally, like things are finally going to click. They're finally going to make sense. You're going to be like, wow, this didn't make sense. This did not work for me. And I don't know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Perhaps you've been doing that in your lifetime, and it's been an unconscious karmic pattern even. For some, depending on where this is going down in your chart or what's going on for you personally, it could be like, I keep attracting the same people, whether it's friends, whether it's relationships, same people. How do I get out of this? You change within. When you change within, everything changes without. And so now you're like, oh, I recognize, because before you may not even have recognized consciously that you were attracting the same people. The same people just kept showing up and you were just like, oh, these people are always doing this to me. I'm always experiencing this from people. Now you're realizing it's a karmic pattern, and now you can break it and change it. So you are at a very fortuitous place in life this month, Cancer. Change. And just because you're encountering the same situations doesn't mean that things aren't changing. We're always going to encounter the same things. It's how we react to it that changes. It's what we believe about the situation that changes. And that's when the situation changes. Hopefully that doesn't go over your head. All right. Next up, we've got Leo. Let's see what we've got for Leo for July. Cancer moon, LOL, about damn time. Sheesh. Yeah. So I have two cancers in my life that I'm very close to, and to see them experience this change in real time is something of absolute beauty and joy. They've changed their mindset, and these are people who they don't even really watch my YouTube channel. These are family members. They don't really watch my YouTube channel. But I've seen this change in them without sort of any assistance. It's like they finally got it. It's almost like they got sick and tired of being sick and tired, and they changed themselves. And then their whole life is starting to change. It's seriously such a beautiful thing to watch. All right. Next up, we've got Leo. And to all my July Leos, I wish you nothing but the absolute best for your solar return, abundance, great health, wealth, joy, continued blessings, and a new year of life that is everything that your heart truly desires. All right, so let's see what we got for you for this month. All right, Leo, we've got this card entitled Limbo. This is the card in number 14. It's associated with Sagittarius, and this is the card of Temperance. All right, Leo, you are a work in progress. Appreciate that. Appreciate where you're at. The phrase that comes to mind is before God opens the door, you kind of have to praise him in the hallway, right? Like appreciate where you at. Things are still being alchemized, whether by spirit or even by yourself. Maybe you're alchemizing certain things in your life and you're like, when can I pop out as this new person? When are things going to change? They're changing. Even if it's a microscopic change, it is a change. And you have to appreciate that. You have to give gratitude for that because you're in process. Especially if you are on purpose right now, you are in process. And there's beauty and gratitude for that change, no matter how small it is. Okay? So be patient with yourself. The card of, I just put it back. But the card of temperance is also the card of patience. So have patience with yourself, have patience with the process. You're on the right track. You are. Even if it doesn't feel like it is, even if you're super eager for that change, for that result, understand that the destination is not just about the destination, it's about the journey. The journey is the destination. And you can be grateful for where you are right now as things unfold beautifully in your life. Okay. Next up, we've got Virgo. Let's see what we've got for Virgo for July. You know what's so funny is that when I do these, I am not a teacher. I am a teacher. I am not a teacher that sits on my high horse and teaches. I'm in the trenches with you. And a lot of times when I do this work, these messages are for me. It's like spirit knocks me in the head with these. So when I see this card, spirit is giving me a private message in my ear right now. That's why I'm laughing. But Virgo, you've got the card of soulmates. I want you to take a look at the center of this card, right? This infinity symbol. Now, soulmates are not just romantic. I want you to take that information to heart. Sometimes we're all wrapped up in our better half, which I don't believe in, our twin flame, another kind of toxic label. I'm trying to say that a lot of times we focus on romantic soulmates. Meanwhile, you have someone in your life who is meant to show you and teach you something super important, and they may not be a romantic person. You may have a friend who rather than gain the lesson that this friend is trying to teach you, you're like, well, especially if the friend is of the opposite sex, right? You're just like, is this my person? Is this my person? Like, we're so conditioned to think of people as our people. We don't possess anybody, okay? Side note, we don't possess anybody. We are fortunate and privileged to have people come into our lives to experience not only them, to experience ourselves through them, right? Soulmates are a thing for you in July, Virgo, in whatever capacity spirit is trying to give you the lesson. And understand that the love that this person has to give you, the lessons, they are eternal. This person or these people, because I'm hearing for some, it's not one person, it's soulmates, not soulmate. These people are forever. And these are probably people you've likely encountered in previous lifetimes. And they're showing up now. Or they've been around. Maybe your eyes are just opening up to them now. But guess what? They're not going anywhere. So you don't have to hold on with the death grip. You don't have to try to control or compartmentalize this. Open your hands. Allow people to come and go into your life. Get the lessons that you need from them and the lessons that they need from you. Don't try to control and manipulate the situation. Just let things be. Go with the flow. These attachments are for real and they are forever. So you don't have to worry. All right. Okay. Next up, we've got Libra. Let's see what we have for Libra for July. Okay, Libra, we have the card of fate. This is the number 10. It is Jupiter and it is the Wheel of Fortune in the Tarot. Divine timing is the lesson that you are learning this month, Libra. You guys are an air sign, so you guys are very much in your heads a lot. Weighing the pros and cons, trying to decide what to do. Also, it's sort of like a form of control also, right? You guys, although you're not like Virgo, right? Or any of the other earth signs that want to sort of control the energy, right? And stabilize it. You guys try to rationalize things a lot. And this is a month where you're kind of going to need to get out of your head and understand that divine timing is a real thing. And divine timing isn't a thing meant to punish you. It's just that in our limited thinking, we think that certain things need to transpire in a certain way at a certain time and with certain people. And spirit is like, listen, if you would just let go and let me handle all of the details, I would put it together better than you could ever imagine. It's not going to be on your timetable though. And if I were to give it to you on your timetable, it would be like giving you a cake that isn't fully cooked. It looks good on the outside, but on the inside, it's raw. Ugh, gross, right? Divine timing is your friend. It's your friend. It's not going to fail you. You're not going to miss the bus. You're not going to miss your stop. It's going to come to you in a way that's like so beautiful on a silver platter. So let it happen. Surrender to divine timing. If things are delayed, that's why. If things are happening faster than you thought, that's why too. Divine timing. Get with it. Otherwise, you're just going to drag yourself unnecessarily. Lean into divine timing. It is indeed your friend. All right. Next up, we've got Scorpio. Let's see what we've got for Scorpio for this month. Scorpio, we've got the card of awakening. This is the judgment card. It is associated with Pluto, and it is the judgment card in the tarot, right? You all are the kings and queens of transformation. Nobody does it quite like you. Y'all die 1,000,001 deaths in this lifetime. Comfortably. But this change, this particular transformation going on in July, it is so subtle. It's happening at the DNA level, so you're not going to see it in your reality just yet. Your inner makeup is changing. There's something that's coming alive within you. And I get the sense that in July, you're not even going to be aware of it. But I want you to remain in a state of joyful expectation. I'm going to repeat that. I want you to remain in a state of joyful expectation, because when this change comes about, it's truly going to be a phoenix rising from the ashes moment for you, as only you could do it, right? But something subtly is changing in your DNA. It's also giving like X-Men, you know how they have like a genetic mutation that gives them these superpowers? That's kind of what I'm getting for you, Scorpio. But you're not going to notice it yet, right? Isn't it? Now, forgive me because I'm not really, oops, hold on one second. All of these cards just fell, and I think that's for good reason. Give me a second. All right. Things seem to fall apart for you, Scorpio. That's why all these cards fell. Things are going to fall apart. And what I was going to say before the cards fell, I'm not really well versed in the comics, right? But you take a character like the Hulk, right? Doesn't he turn into the Hulk when he gets angry? Or even Wolverine, don't his spikes come out when he's about to fight or something like that? It's during a time of adversity where this superpower comes to fruition or it comes out. Something's going to fall apart, and the way that you respond to it is going to activate your superpower that's being developed in you as we speak. But July is going to be the month where you're not necessarily going to see it yet. It's going to be the month where everything that genetic mutation is happening. There could be some sort of external circumstance that triggers this mutation, okay? But again, you're not going to see it. But understand that whatever you go through in July, it is going to change you irrevocably in the best way possible. And I can't wait to see what your superpower is. We're all going to see it. But I can't wait for you to truly see who you really are. This genetic mutation is going to be super interesting, super weird a little bit too, but really interesting. So I'm excited for you, Scorpio. This is going to be really dope. Hello, Philip Boone. Peace and blessings to you. All right, so now we are up to Sagittarius. Let's see where we're at with Sagittarius for July. Sag, we've got the card entitled Pathways. This is the card of Gemini. It is the number 6. And this is the Lover's card in the Tarot. Although this is not speaking of romance for you, Sag. This is speaking of choice. You have, if you look at this card, it is like a path. It's like a maze. It's a labyrinth, right? July is perhaps going to present an opportunity to go in a new direction or on a new path. For some, you may find that you're at a crossroads in July. Like you have this new journey that awaits, or you can kind of continue on the path that you've already been on. The choice is ultimately yours. This new pathway, though, is going to be real interesting. It is. I'm going to show you the imagery of this card again. It is a maze, though. So it's wrought with confusion, with dead ends. But when you reach the center, look at what's in the center, that star, enlightenment. You have the opportunity to embark on a path of enlightenment this month. But because you don't necessarily know where this path leads, some of you might not choose it. You're like, let me just continue where I want to continue, right? Let me just continue where I'm going. I see this door is opening, but I'm not sure I want to go through. The choice is yours. And it's not to say that one choice is better than the other, but you are presented with a choice this month. And if you do find that you're presented with a choice, especially with something that's different, okay, this is interesting. This is connected to the Gemini message of how you are taking the brakes off of your mind, and how with Gemini, there may be, okay, so this pathway may be going with a Gemini. A Gemini may be, if this does have to do with a relationship, this could be a relationship with a Gemini. That could ultimately lead to enlightenment, especially because this Gemini is probably, deconstructing their I'm always right kind of mentality, okay? But if you're presented with a choice this month, it is a choice that will lead to enlightenment, but ultimately the choice is yours. So you get to decide if you go through the door or not. But understand that going through this door, you may not be going through it alone. So that could provide some solace for you, okay? All right. Next up, we've got Capricorn. Let's see what we've got for Capricorn for July. Capricorn, we've got divine guidance. This is number 19. It's associated with the sun. And this is the sun card in the tarot. Okay. Now, I want you to pay attention to where Leo is in your chart. This is what's going to be activated. And this is the area of life where you are going to need to shine authentically, and where you may be presented with a unique leadership opportunity. Now, understand that this opportunity is going to require you to be your authentic self. Not being your authentic self is a recipe for disaster. So understand that going into this, if you are offered a chance to lead, to present, to demonstrate something, you have to do it from a place of authenticity. But this will give you the recognition that maybe you are seeking, or maybe this is the time where you will be rewarded for not only hard work, but for doing this hard work in your authenticity. Either way, this is a very public time for you. So, given everything I said before about doing the inner work, you're going to have to be very intentional about carving out time to do this inner work, because this is a month where you're really going to be out there, where not only the distractions will abound, but where you're going to be focusing most of your energy externally. So make sure that you carve out time to do the inner work that we all need to do this month. But either way, this is a month of recognition. This is a month of leadership for you. Next up, we've got Aquarius. Let's see what we've got for Aquarius for this month, for July. All right, Aquarius, you have the same card as, I think it was Libra. Right. Fate. Destiny. This is the card of the Wheel of Fortune. Time has been ticking for you. And I mean that in a good way. It's like it's time now. There's something that you've waited for a long time. Perhaps there's a way that you've been wanting to feel for a long time. And finally, the time has arrived. Like the stars have aligned in a way that allow you to experience something that you've wanted to experience for a long time. And it feels like a feeling, like whether you've wanted to feel loved, accepted, free, whatever it is, like now is the time to feel those things. The time is right to feel those things. And yes, divine timing is your friend. Whereas for Libra, Libra was sort of given the message of like patience. For Aquarius, it's like the divine timing is now. So the time has arrived. So enjoy it. This is a time of enjoyment for you where the tides have finally turned and you're able to feel how you've always wanted to feel. All right. And last but certainly not least, we've got Pisces. Let's see what we've got for Pisces for July. All right, Pisces, we have the card entitled Life Lessons. This is the number 5. It's associated with Taurus, and this is the Hierophant card. Pisces, you guys are arguably amongst the zodiac the most spiritual sign. And you've got Saturn and Neptune going retrograde in your sign. So that message of growing up spiritually really applies to you. And it's all about life lessons. Saturn in Pisces, hopefully you could see that. Saturn in Pisces is getting you to reflect on life lessons. I call Saturn the school of hard knocks because it helps us graduate in life by giving us harsh lessons at times. And so this is going to be a month where you're really reflecting on those lessons, where you're really reflecting on what life has taught you. And that is what's going to help you level up spiritually. That's what's going to help you grow up spiritually. Okay, so take the time out to examine what you've been through and not examine it from the sense of reliving those emotions. I want you to kind of take emotions out of it for a second. And I want you to reflect on what lessons those emotions and those situations have taught you. And again, that's what's going to help you up level spiritually. All right, my loves, that concludes this edition of the monthly Astro Forecast for the month of July. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information from both of these lives that you can use going into the month. All right. For information on my products and services, all of that is in the description box below or tagged to the video. Thank you so much for tuning in. I wish you nothing but the absolute best for July and beyond, and I will see you in my next video. All right, my loves, take care.